everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and today we're doing a review of the last night's 2 Masterchef episodes, and the first one is episode 16. This is season 14, and it's called Ramsay's Pop-Up Rooftop Restaurant. And I thought this episode, to be frank, was very annoying. They do this every year, but not necessarily a pop-up rooftop. Usually I thought they would go to the Hell's Kitchen restaurant, or maybe some other place, I don't know, but, and right now there's...
Well, last year they did Hell's Kitchen, and they're like,
okay.
shit. They're like, shit, we made people cry this time. We can't go to Hell's Kitchen again for a while. Because, like, yeah, people could not handle Hell's Kitchen.
There were 2 teams, and basically Chef Ramsay designated the teams. So last week, Mudhead and Becca, who are the 2 Gen Zers who won the wall challenge, they were captains. So Mudhead was captain of the red team, which included Michael and Rebecca, and Becca was captain of the blue team, which contained Adam and Kameh. And so instantly you see these people pouring in, they're parking, and they're driving the most outrageously expensive cars.
Overpriced.
Way expensive, outrageously expensive.
They just did a video about the Cybertruck.
Oh.
There's these people who did a video on Twitter.
Those are ugly.
And it's supposedly like this indestructible Terminator car, but these people rammed into these like white fence posts, like these little tiny fence posts.
On purpose?
On purpose to test the car. And even though it was able to knock all of them down, all of them somehow like got up in the engine and destroyed the car. And so then they parked it, and like all the gas was coming out of the engine and everything. You know, like it was destroyed from these tiny, tiny little fence posts, just running into those. And it's like, yeah, that's not a Terminator car. That's a
pretend.
That's a overcompensation car.
Faux, yeah.
That's like something that Safi would drive.
No, wouldn't. I wouldn't touch that thing. It's ugly.
She's got to overcompensate for her bad reviewing.
Okay.
Right, Safi?
No.
Why?
So anyway, and then when they started seating the guests, I know I'm not concentrating on the cooking part, but one of the people was wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Now they criticize, people
criticize,
you know, in the country, people wearing their hats, even me, because it's rude, wearing a hat in a restaurant. But this was some kind of rich dude and wearing a hat in the restaurant.
This isn't some kind of casual place where you eat fish tacos in like LA. This wasn't some kind of like casual dining place. This was a Fancy Nancy Masterchef restaurant, and he's wearing a hat in the restaurant. So Safi was like, he's wearing a hat in the restaurant! Like, Safi started yelling and watching this episode. Like, she was trying to be Chef Ramsay. And
well, it was bizarre, too,
everything.
because when back at the I don't know what you want to call it, the Masterchef studio, where they cook all the time, you know, most of the time. They've been cooking one way, but then they go to this place, and we're almost at the end of the season, so you talk about weeks and weeks and weeks have gone by. And he's making them cook 2 appetizers and 2, entrees.
no dessert.
No dessert. And the 2 appetizers are scallops and lobster tail with like a lobster bisque and truffle butter and a cauliflower puree and candied walnuts. And I'm like, it's just so shushy foo-foo, pretentious crap that they have not even used, none of them. I mean, I don't care if I like them or not, or think they're going to win or not. It's stuff they haven't really cooked the entire season. Except maybe, well, they didn't have that.
I don't know. I think they did. Some of them did cook scallops. I'm not sure.
But
And
I hate scallops. Marco likes them.
all of it was food that you should be expected to cook on a Masterchef show.
But so anyway, I felt like, and then it's already pressurized, but I felt like this wasn't a real, I don't think it was a very packed crowd. It was like a selective crowd, of course, with all these rich dudes.
With hats.
With the hat, which I cannot believe it.
There was an Asian woman. She got raw meat, and she got very upset, and she was...
But she wasn't being a Karen about it. She just didn't want to eat it.
She was like, what's up with that? This must be an off-season for MasterChef with off contestants.
So, anyway, Adam, who I thought he would do well in this because he's used to cooking for large crowds, but he's kind of gone down in terms of his confidence, I believe. And he did the worst of everybody, I believe, and he could not get the cook right on the scallops. He kept overcooking them. I mean, I could see when he was cooking them, they were overcooked. He had the heat too high, I think, too. And then Kamei, she was cooking the duck. Now, this is just the appetizer part, and she undercooked it. And that's one thing I think Marco was referring to was she sent hers back. It was raw. And then on the other side, Mudhead or Murph, who
Dirt.
strutted around.
Dirt.
And thought he was better than all the boomers.
But he was good this episode. In fact, he really improved. He might have just been putting on a character, because I do think the contestants are told to put on a character or something. And he did improve over the season, but he's still one of those kind of like mid-tier contestants. And this episode, it wasn't as brutal as last year's. I mean, last year's was like really, really brutal, because the people there were so out of their depth. You had that girl, "This isn't like my hometown back in the barn!" And you had people like that. And no, this year, it was just kind of like, eh. And I think that was the realization that we came to in this episode was like, it's just as I said, where they spent the whole season focusing on generations, the gimmick, cracking jokes. Oh, he's a boomer, he can't do this. Oh, she's a stupid millennial, she can't do that. Oh, millennials, Gen X's, Gen Z's. Like, they spent so much of the season doing that now that we're in the finals, what's left is like these contestants that are kind of mediocre and not really exciting at all. So it seems like they focused so much on this generation crap that they didn't really cast great people. And they're not bad people, it's just that this is MasterChef, and the way that they treated this season was basically, it was almost like a parody show. It was like a MasterChef parody, or it was like, you know how in certain shows they'll do a fan season or something? Like, this felt like MasterChef fan season.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like an official MasterChef season, and I don't even need to see the finale without saying that. Safi?
But anyway,
what do you
I
think?
got mad at Mudhead because I'm not really sure why. He just kept he would say, okay, I need 4 ducks and 2 salmon, or not salmon, what are they? Scallop plates. And he would say, how many? And he would have them do the wrong one. So they had, and then they tried to hide two of them because they were wrong, and so Ramsay caught them.
Yeah, it was
I
funny.
said, "What are these? What are these two plates?" And he said, "I misheard what you said, and I did this." And he showed him the plates, and he said, you know, he finally got mad at him enough to hit a little Captain C for Captain sticker on his apron, and he, what did they do? Put it on Michael? I guess they put it on Michael.
Yeah.
And
we did not plan on any type of gardening going on right now, either.
Yeah, they're outside because we're having kind of a drought, and there's really not much. I mean, they even started to mow. The grass is all burned. And I'm like, why are they doing that? And they kind of did a one through and then left. They didn't even do a thorough job because there's nothing to mow. The grass is yellow. It's dying. We're having a drought. Now they're out doing I call it the blower, where they go on everybody's porch and they blow debris off the porch onto the parking lot. So you'll hear that in the background. It's going away though, I can hear.
The mom's going away.
So we had this struggle with the appetizers, and it ended up
Struggle?
The blue team struggle.
Struggle?
The blue team, which Adam and Camay and Becca, they had messed up. Adam had messed up so many scallops that they didn't have enough in the end, and they had to instead of 5 or 6, they had 3 on a couple of plates. I don't think it was that many, but of course it didn't look good because it wasn't quote perfect.
Well, that's a huge red flag too when someone makes it to where you run out of ingredients. Yeah. You know, there was that one season. Was it Masterchef? Yeah, it was Masterchef Junior, where the girl with epilepsy, they sent her home because she made them run out of rice. But you know, Adam just seemed like he was really out of his depth, and you know, he didn't really act like he wanted to be there either. It was kind of like when the father makes the teenage son go fishing with him or something, and he doesn't want to go. You know, like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
But he didn't complain. He didn't say anything.
But he just, you could see it in his face. I mean, he's not ready to be a master chef.
No, he's not. But he's a good person. I think he could go far, but I don't think he's ready right now. So anyway, so now we have a fail by the blue team, so that's a strike against him. And even though Ramsay took the captainship away from Mudhead, they still managed to work on everything and get it out. And then we went to then they had to do the entree. So the blue team thought maybe they could, come back, because how could they go they were at the bottom, so how could they go anywhere but the top, which is true, to have that attitude. And they had to make a, this is where they have the duck. I'm sorry. They made sauteed lobster tail before.
Safi.
And this is where they have the pan roasted duck and the New York strip. So, again, Adam screwed up the steak, which is really weird because he probably does cook a lot of, maybe not the best steak, but some kind of steak for where he is. It's a ranch. And he undercooked the steak? Well, he didn't cook it right.
You know, Safi, if you're going to do a recap and not even really review the episode, you should at least write stuff down that you see happening.
I hated this episode. I just couldn't stand Chef Ramsay.
Yeah, but there were a lot of moments in the episode where you weren't even paying attention. You were yelling over the episode, and so then you didn't hear or see what happened. So. And
then we have Rebecca, the boomer woman who has been. I haven't liked her at all. She started bringing her age as a weakness, actually, into the competition.
Boomers can't really handle this type of thing. Boomers can't really do this type of thing.
She didn't say that.
Boomers have trouble walking around. Boomers can't do this.
She says, I don't know if I have the energy to keep up with these younger chefs.
Boomers can't keep up with the younglings. You know, Gordon Ramsay, he couldn't touch dirt, you know.
And, okay, he did undercook the steak. He overcooked the scallops and undercooked the steak, which is really strange.
Yeah.
And then Camay said, because she undercooked the duck. I told you, well, Marco told you that they sent a duck, at least one duck back. And you could tell. I mean, it wasn't hard to tell that it was not cooked properly. And Camay said, there goes my chance of being Master Chef.
Yeah, that was really, really funny, was that, like, you know.
Which I don't get her wanting to be. She's a lawyer, and she really knows her. I can tell she's really good about her. You have to have some kind of insight to be a lawyer. Like if you were a criminal lawyer and you can see clues or you can see things that people don't regularly see, you know, it's a talent. It's kind of some kind of like an extra skill. I can tell she has it. And then by the end she said, I never want to do this again. And I'm thinking, like, why are you there? What do you do?
Yeah.
What is your you have a career, and you haven't been in it for 50 years.
Yeah, she doesn't want to ever cook in a restaurant setting again, so what's she going to do?
Yeah, I that's why, I mean, I don't get, this is part of the problem I have with this season, is before, even for the little kids, they'll say, I want to have a food truck, or I want to have that Alabama girl wanted to have a restaurant, a farm restaurant, and they pay as they, I don't know what they think the meal's worth. Like
no, you pay what you can, which means
yeah.
you take a piece of dirt out of your pocket and you give it to her and you say, thanks for the steak.
Yeah, right.
And she says, okay, I'll give you a steak and I'll give you whatever you want. As long as you give me a little penny, you give me a little piece of trash, you give me whatever you can afford.
Well, so
what?
That was, she didn't say that at all, but
yes,
anyway.
She did.
No, she didn't. And
let's pay what you can.
I mean, you have these people come in, they have a goal. They want to be a chef at you know, have their own restaurant, etc., and all those other things I said. And that I have not heard anybody here say that. Even the guy last year who won, which we weren't that thrilled with, but he did try. And he was trying to uplift himself.
He was better than Kennedy.
Upgrade himself, and he did have a goal. And it seems like when you don't have a goal, that I mean, I think these people in this competition, for the most part, they just want the money.
Yeah.
They don't want to, you know, be a proprietor of a restaurant, be the head chef, or
and
whatever.
I would say if you get on MasterChef, I would be surprised if that wasn't like an audition question, like, what do you want to do with the money? What do you want to do after you win MasterChef?
Yeah.
Like, that should be like one of the first questions that people are asked.
I would think that would have to go into it. So, and I'm thinking, like, why is Rebecca, this is the boomer woman who's been booming her voice around, why is she there? I mean, she knew, and she's watched the show, so they always have at the end this
She is totally there to show off so that she can tell her book club friends about it.
I don't know about
right?
that, but she's
her cross-stitching club, you know.
I don't know.
She's just doing it to show off. Maybe so she can promote her website where she has mediocre crinkle cake recipes and such.
But so anyway, who lost? Well, it's kind of obvious, and
yeah,
the way
well,
they showed it too was weird.
And I could tell it was going to be the blue team that lost.
Yeah, me too. And that was the one with Adam, who undercooked the steak and overcooked the scallops.
It was really weird the way that they revealed it, though. Safi was saying they took these champagne bottles and then out sprayed like red
The red.
champagne
Yeah.
is and the red team won. I thought that was kind of queer. You know, that was kind of like, okay, like is that really like a part of like creating the show? Like, okay, we have to figure out a creative way to reveal the winner of the team challenge. Like, is that really like a thing that they do? They just sit around being like, ooh, what if we shot paintball guns at each other and the color of the paintball was the you know, like it's queer. It's just like with the fireworks thing. You know, like where they have to walk out with fireworks in slow motion, you know, the judges, like, it's a little, weird. It's like something Safi would do.
So anyway, despite the fact that Mudhead couldn't handle what he was doing, they won. His team won. And it's mainly because I think Michael and Rebecca kind of kept everything on track. And then on the blue team who lost, Adam, like I said, he just he didn't improve.
Yeah.
And that was a shame. But
well, he hit the wall. He hit his wall.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. So he left. They got rid of him. So now we go to the next episode.
And so I would give the restaurant episode like a C-. I really didn't think anything of it.
I gave it a D.
I felt like, you know, it wasn't entertaining like last year where they were making people cry. It was just kind of like, nah, that was the restaurant episode, and it's not really worth even talking about, honestly. Like,
well, I just thought the whole thing was pretentious and phony.
yeah, and you have people wearing hats in a restaurant. It's like, that's really gay. You know, like,
They
even
criticize people who are like blue collar farming people who wear hats,
yeah.
but then they're wearing hats in a restaurant. Like, who the hell do they think they are?
Well, it's also like,
nobody wears a hat. That's it.
even if you just go to someone's house to eat dinner, the rule is you take off your hat. That's kind of like a given. You know, like...
And plus the fact they drove there in these shushy-foo-foo, outrageously expensive cars. I don't know what they are, like a kind of like a Lamborghini type of thing. And I just like, oh God. And they showed them, it was like a car show.
Yeah.
At the front, and they were all different colors.
That was really gay.
Real bright colors. And I'm like, what is this? I mean, these show-off rich people? I mean, what the hell?
I thought that the funniest thing was like, you know, if this is like an invites-only type of thing, that means that these are either Gordon's friends, or Joe's friends, or Aaron's friends. So you look at each person there and you think, which person are they friends with? And you look at that guy in the hat, it's like, who is he friends with that, like, he's wearing a hat in a restaurant? Like, is it Gordon? Or is it, he looks like somebody who'd be friends with Joe. Because Joe is...
But I don't know. It's really hard to say. I don't think so. But anyway, so we get to the next episode. So Marco and I kind of really graded this one down.
Yeah, I didn't like it this year. But I don't like the season very much. I didn't even really want to watch the second episode. It was so exhausting to watch these two episodes back to back because both of them were trying to be so stressful, but they just came off as like doldrums.
Now, Marco's going to leave for just a bit. He's painting, and so I think he's going to go wash his brush off. So the next episode is going to be they're on to the semifinals now. This is a semifinal. They're going to have 2 challenges within this one episode. This is episode 17. And in each challenge, somebody is going to go home. And so what they are trying to do, their goal is to pare it down to 3 for the finals. So, the first challenge, and let me tell you who the final 5 contestants are, just to remind you: Becca, Rebecca, Mudhead, Michael, and Kamei. And, the first challenge is really different, and I think Marco might want to speak about it, but it was a mystery box, and when they uncovered it, it was just a card. And on the card was a review of a dish that somebody had made, maybe Gordon Ramsay, I don't know, I wasn't clear about that. But there was no indication of what was made. It was just a review, and it had it was descriptive, so it said it was sweet and spicy and something else. And so their direction was to make a dish of their own that would fit this review. And that it is a very interesting challenge. I don't think they've ever done that in anything I've ever seen on TV, any kind of cooking show, especially this one. I've never seen this, so it was new, and it was different, and it's interesting for these people to come up with something like that. But like I said, most of them don't have a goal, a cooking goal for the future, and when you have people like that, you got to wonder how they're going to do. I'm talking about Marco's back again. The semifinal challenge, where they have a mystery box, and in the box is a review which doesn't indicate the food that was eaten, but it has a description of it. And
I honestly really didn't like this challenge because...
You didn't like it? I thought you did.
Well, I thought it was a good concept, but the review made it seem like this was a really strange dish. Like, it had almost every flavor. It reminded me...
Well, maybe they just made it up. It wasn't a real review.
They might have. Maybe they got it from AI. But, like, it reminded me of that Jimmy Neutron episode where Jimmy Neutron wanted to create the perfect candy. And so he put every single flavor into the candy, and everyone really liked it, and they went crazy over it. Like, that's what it reminded me of. It's like, this is too many flavors. It was a good concept, though. It also, I think another thing I didn't like about it was it reminded me of Crime Scene Kitchen.
Yeah.
And it felt like, this isn't Crime Scene Kitchen. They could have done a Crime Scene Kitchen crossover. They could have had that guy on there who's the host of Crime Scene Kitchen, and they could have made this the challenge for that instead. And so that's what I think that they should have done instead of this. I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole episode. I give it a D. I thought it was worse than the restaurant episode. It was just so mediocre and uninteresting because of the contestants left, like, yeah.
Well, it was okay. I just thought it was creative. But now that I think about it, because they did have trouble, I'll say go through it, but trying to figure out, because you have to reflect all these different. Like I said, you had to have spicy, sweet, and there was another thing, and so you have to come up with a dish that has some sides.
You had to have it also smoky, umami, which is weird. So just too many flavors.
And so you have to figure out something that's going to go together.
Yeah.
And that was a challenge for people. And I'll tell you who did okay. Kamei did the best. I'm not even sure what she made, but that really didn't surprise me. She's really good with spices and spicing things, and that saves her because she did the best, because she was able to come up with all the things they wanted. And I don't think she made anything that was especially, I don't know how to say, complicated or weird or unusual. And then Rebecca, she did pretty good. She hit all the elements. And then Michael made a smoky striped bass, but he went overboard, and the criticism on his was that he needed to self-edit, meaning he just had too much, but he did perform.
But that's what the dish was, though. It was like a bunch of random shit It seemed like they didn't even reveal what the actual dish was too.
Which makes me wonder if they just didn't make up the review.
Yeah.
To make it something complicated and challenging for them. But he did do the task at hand. Becca made the mistake. Now she and Mudhead were the worst. Becca made a smoky seared ribeye with asparagus and orzo.
Her dish reminded me of something that like just some random college girl came up with. Like it just seemed like something that like, oh, what are we gonna have tonight, roommate? We're gonna have steak and orzo. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
And
Wink,
orzo
wink.
doesn't go with steak
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And she knew it too. She knew it like right, and you know, it's that thing you have to nurse.
I do think steak could go with pasta. She could have done some kind of pasta. No.
No. And you have to nurse it, and Marco's made it, so I know this. Marco has made orzo.
Who's Marco?
And you have to nurse it from beginning to end because it's so hard to cook it perfectly.
Yeah.
And so you have to keep your eye on it constantly. Mudhead just couldn't figure out. His stuff didn't, I don't even know what he made exactly, but it didn't go together.
It was just a bunch of random stuff. It seemed like it was another dish but it again, all of the dishes for the most part just made you think about like, yeah, that review, I don't know what dish that was for, you know, like weird.
Yeah. So this is why I didn't care for him the whole time, because this is what he said. Well, it won't be the last of me. I'm definitely too pretty of a face to ignore, he says.
Safi, that's just a light joke.
I didn't like it.
That's something that, like, he's playing a character.
Yeah, he played a character, all right. I'm not sure what the character is.
I kind of wish, actually, after he's gone now, he's the one who goes home. I kind of wish he went really overboard and was like a villain, because I think he could have been a really good villain of the season. He could have been like that piece of shit guy that you just really want to go home, but instead
they didn't really have anybody like that this year.
I thought he should have been a villain, because you know, you could still like a villain. I mean, because he wasn't trying to be a villain, so he just came off as kind of an idiot or like a jerk. So it was kind of like, you know, if he went full villain, then you would have at least known that he was just playing a character, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, the final challenge, remember, they have 2 challenges for the semifinal, and for each one person's going home, because the ultimate goal is to just have 3 finalists, because next week's the finale. Okay? And it's a 2-hour finale, too, by the way. Alright, so the next one is hard, and they do it, I'm pretty sure they do it every year. Or they have been doing it every year.
Yeah, it is probably one of the stupidest challenges of the season.
This is called Keeping Up with Gordon.
He's done this before on like talk shows. Like he did, or it might have been something where like he was just instructing Jimmy Fallon of what to do. And like they were cooking eggs next to each other, you know, the scrambled eggs, you know, the really pretentious recipe where he's like, okay, in order to make scrambled eggs, they gotta be really mushy. You gotta put creme fraiche in them and shit. It's like, ew. And
I don't like the way he does
it's just,
eggs.
I hate the Keeping Up with Gordon challenge. I hate it.
They were all not looking forward to it either.
It is so narcissistic and pretentious. It's like, my favorite semifinal of all the MasterChefs is MasterChef Junior Season 3, because literally the challenge was you have to make a raspberry dessert, and these children were like crying, they were like suffering in pain, they had horrible nightmare experiences just making raspberry desserts, and it was such a good semifinal. It was so intense. There was actual competition. You liked everyone that was there. And here it's just like, wow. Good job. You have mediocrity. Masterchef mediocrity. That should be the title of the season. Right, Safi?
I guess. I don't want to be that heavily critical.
Well, it's just a
these
bad
people,
season.
These people don't have goals, and
It's-
I don't get it. I
it's
don't
not-
get why they're there except just to get the money.
It's not personal attacks against the people. It's an attack against the season for not being an entertaining season. It's it's like this is still a show, and a lot of the stuff on the show is fake too. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in order to make it a show, and I feel like they did not do a good job at making a show this season. They were focusing too much on cracking jokes about boomers, millennials, Gen Z, and it was stupid. It was just really stupid.
And they did say a few things. I didn't write them down, but about, when Mudhead went home, about this, Joe was saying something about him cutting corners or something like that.
I think he was saying something about like Gen Z are used to not following the rules,
Right, he did
or
say
something.
that. And he
And it's
said
like-
that. Mudhead did say that.
But that's kind of a lie because like if Mudhead is using recipes off of TikTok, then he's following recipes, so that would be following the rules.
Yeah, so it's not really, I'm not really, but still, what my point was that they're still bringing up this generational crap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the end of the season.
Are they
It's
going to
over.
bring it up in the finale too?
I don't think so. Because think about the people in the finale, except, we're not on that yet, but okay.
Like they're going to be like this. They're going to say, "Okay, it's the MasterChef finale. We have one millennial."
Don't say what it is. Don't say we haven't talked
Why?
about it, because we haven't talked
But
about it.
you know what I mean? Is that how they're going to announce it? Like
Oh, yeah.
they're just going to label them by generations. They're not even going to say their names or anything. Like
Well, yeah,
it's
that's not true. They'll say their names, because their families will be there.
yeah, but it's like, you know what I mean.
Okay, so anyway, what Gordon makes, he makes a pan-seared salmon, which has to have a crispy skin. I want to make that clear. He made a truffle gnocchi, sautéed asparagus, and a sauce, a fennel verblanc sauce, which means it's a sauce that has cream in it. That blanc, like Blanco, white. And then on top of the salmon, crispy leeks and seaweed. That's like a little decor on the top. So, and the gnocchi are made of potatoes and Parmesan, and there has to be 6 of them. So, now they start following them, and they have to keep up with them perfectly. It has to look like what his looked like, cooked like what his was cooked like, and and keeping up with them that entire time. And Michael says keeping up with Gordon is like keeping up with a tornado. He still is really fast and good, but they had problems. First, and then Rebecca, she didn't get a thing. She said another age comment, which I'm just shocked that she would do this, making her age a weakness.
Yeah.
She said, quote, "Boomers don't cook this fast. They have a little wine, take their time. This is not normal." And
That's kind of idiotic.
you watch this show, it's like this every year.
Like, does she think every boomer is a wine mom or a wine grandma? Like, no. That's not what all boomers are like.
Well, I know, but it's like everybody's different. We just, this categorizing people into these age groups, I don't like it. I think it's stupid. So, one thing they did was they had to have multiple pans, which was interesting, because you had to cook the salmon, and it had to have a crispy skin. You had to have the make the gnocchi out of mashed potatoes into like a dough with the Parmesan. So that was something else. And it was cooked in a different pan. And then you had the sauce. And then you had the asparagus. So everything had a different pan. And at least one of them had to be flambéed, if that's a word. And so what happened was 3 of them flambéed the wrong thing. They flambéed the salmon. And that meant that one thing, it didn't have a crispy skin, sorry. It was overcooked, and it doesn't matter. Two out of whatever is bad. And then Rebecca, the boomer, poured the cream, which is the blanc. So they're making a sauce that has, like I told you, each one of these things had a separate pan. I couldn't believe all these pans. You have all these burners. She put the cream into the salmon. And so that messed up the sauce. It was not made, it didn't have any cream in it. Therefore, it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And remember, it has to be exactly like he did it, Chef Ramsay. And so what we have then is it ended up to be Becca, Michael, and Camille. Despite the fact that Michael kind of burned his salmon, but the sauce saved him because the judges raved about the sauce. Camille did the best again because she's used to, and they got irritated with her too because she had to clarify, like in the beginning, why can't she do that? What the process was, what they had to do. So it was she asked 2 questions, and they went, and made this is annoying sound. Why? She wants to get it right. She wants to win, and it wasn't anything complicated. She didn't ask for this huge explanation. She just said yes or no or do this or that, period. And but Rebecca, who messed up the sauce, did the worst, so she got sent home, which I'm not unhappy about. So the final 3 are Becca, Michael, and Camille. And the only one out of the 3 I can see is Michael to be a chef. Becca maybe someday, but I just don't see it. I don't know. I don't see it. And then Camille is a lawyer in Washington, D.C.
Becca looks like a babysitter. She looks like if you made like a Halloween reboot, she would be one of the babysitters, and they'd go while she's cooking some kind of fall dish, and then Michael Myers comes in and is like, and she's like, no, don't kill me, I'm Mormon, or something like whatever she is, or what is she?
She's gay. She's a lawyer.
No, not her. Becca.
Oh, Becca, I don't know.
No, Becca had that thing where she wouldn't drink coffee, remember? So she's either Mormon or Jehovah's Witness.
I don't know.
One of those weird things.
Anything like that, but
you don't remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I don't know about
well,
that.
She looks like a Mormon, so
I don't know what a Mormon looks like.
She looks like a person who lives in like Utah or something. She looks like
I don't know where she's
Mormon.
From. I mean, I've lost the reason why I remember Camille is a lawyer in Washington D.C. because I watch all this legal stuff, and so it just stuck with me. But the other 2, I don't know where they're from. Sorry. So anyway, that's the 3. And as far as the episode,
if this was last season, they would have made sure you knew.
so.
Right? That person's from the Midwest. That person's from the South.
That's right. They had a thing with the regions last season.
Another gimmick that failed.
Yeah. So anyway, well, it's they tried.
Well, it didn't.
With the gimmicks, I mean, to come up with something different. But
it's
as far as carrying it out. Just this thing
get good chefs and good characters.
I don't know. to me, they don't seem like they put a lot of effort into it.
No, it feels like they just have to do it. Like they just have to make Masterchef. Doesn't really feel like they're really that into it.
So Marco and I have a prediction, and we really just told you, is we think Michael, I think Michael will get it. Now I have not heard any goal for him. Like, I want to be a chef, but he seems like he could be one. His mom passed away, and I guess he doesn't have a dad. So she and he watched MasterChef for years together, and every season until she died. So, he was kind of doing this all for her.
So when did she die?
I think she's only been gone like a year or so.
Well, that to me, that's even sadder because she died after watching one of the worst MasterChef seasons.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's pretty recent, I
mean,
believe.
Like, just imagine, like, you end on, like, a terrible MasterChef season. It's like, and that's, like, your favorite show. That would be, like, just a big F.U. It's like yeah. So I hope that he wins so that he can avenge her.
Yeah, but I don't know what he wants to do with it. But, I mean, I don't see him doing it just for the money. I see him doing it to be a chef. So, but we'll see. But, like I said, this Becca and Camille already has a career, and she seems to be really good at it. I mean, just can tell by, she's very intuitive, and I mean, she says things exactly about what's going to happen. She'll state right at the beginning, oh, blah, blah, it's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, perfectly said. And so anyway, I just don't see her being a chef. I think she ought to be sticking to what she's doing. Like, maybe, she could be a prosecutor, or she could be a criminal defense attorney, or whatever, just a defending attorney. So who knows, but I just don't see her being a chef. And Becca, she's young. I don't know. I just don't see it either. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about her. But like I said, there's nobody with clear-cut goals. Like, oh, I want to have a restaurant of my own, and they end up having 3 or 4 or 5 restaurants, and they're famous. And even just one in town, and it's really good, and everybody likes it. But like they have a signature dish, and I don't see it. So anyway, maybe I'm just not being. Maybe I'm wrong, which of course I could be, but I'll just give it I'll give it a C.
Oh.
So anyway, what do you give it?
I already told you I gave it a D.
Oh, well, it's just average. They do this every year, but this thing with the generations, I think, has dragged it down.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We're almost at the point we're going to do something we worked on part of it yesterday. The celebrate the 600 subscriber.
Yeah.
We just have to wrap that up and get it completely figured out, but we have half of it figured out. So,
yeah.
We have so many different things going on. We have to juggle it all, and we want it to be fairly decent. So, anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.